know you as both of you as NFL people, but I know, Coach and I talk about the NBA quite a bit. We're both big Laker fans. I know you're an NBA fan as well. So I'm going to ask you a question that gets asked of me a lot. Super teams, specifically this year, the Brooklyn Nets. How do you feel about that?
The fact that, well, there's two things. I've thought a lot about this because one, it's kind of cool that the players get to choose their friends and you get to see kind of what they want to do. And you can see they have a lot more, like in the NFL, players don't have as much power to make that happen. Maybe for a player or two, maybe like the Gronk to the Tom Brady or whatever, but you can't, there's still, quite a few other players on that team. So you don't get to see that. I think it's also good that they kind of don't stay in the same place too long because I don't like when there's just one team that's dominating everything. I'm more of like, look, I'm a 2004 Pistons kind of gal. That's my team, but it's like, I like when there's not necessarily like the one, the one person that comes there and then all their friends come, but rather it's a team sport. So I do like that over time, but I think it's pretty cool. Like, last year, nobody talked about Brooklyn ever, it was a wasteland. So it's kind of cool that it can be so quickly changed, but I can imagine knowing some of the people who work in the front offices and coaches, like this is a big pain in your bum, like having to be like, okay, are we going to get these chess pieces so this person's happy to come here? So I can imagine like all the different angles of it, but as a fan, it's very fun to watch because everyone's different every year. And you kind of like, it's like you're playing like your own video game. Like, what if I put this one and this one and this one together and poof? So.
Well, I think in the NFL, it's a little different too, because one player typically can't make as big of an impact as maybe one player in the NBA. Coach, you and I talked about the Lakers maybe repeating this year. Does the Nets super team put a little chink in that armor there, or how do you feel about it?
I'm just on the train with Jenny Buss. Bring it on. It'll bring the best in us. There's no doubt about it. I think the super teams, I don't look at it that way. I think the players having the option, as Cynthia mentioned, to play with their teammates, grow with them. I think that's a great thing. Now, management and your salary cap is going to dictate if those guys can be on the team or not. So I think you'll see more of it as you go. The Lakers are not built like that, but we just got Drummond, so they're just as big as a super team now as anybody. So I think it's going to be interesting down the stretch here, but if we can get healthy, Anthony, we're going to be there in the end. I truly believe it.
Oh, we're going to get healthy. I have no doubt because if the Pistons were in it, we'd probably be having a different conversation. So we're all on the Lakers right now. And so last thing on the NBA is the buyout market. So that one's one that I get asked. I was on another show yesterday and my thing was, I don't necessarily like it. I think if you're going to get bought out, maybe, I think not playing until next year might be unfair, but maybe they go in reverse order of the standings and let someone maybe claim them for the rest of the season. How do you feel about these guys who are like, let's be honest, I want a ring, so I'm going to do what I can to get bought out and I'm going to join this team, in hopes of kind of riding their coattails and getting a ring?
It's about winning. Right? At the end of the day, who doesn't want one of those championship rings to wear and to have in their possession? That's a huge legacy piece for a lot of people. So I have no problem with that.
No problem. Cynthia, you agree?
I look at it from a leverage standpoint. Like both people signed the contract. So what you're getting and what you could happen from it. It is a loophole. It's definitely one of those loopholes where, it feels a little icky and it feels like I can't I don't know a better word for it than that. Like it does feel a little unfair. It does feel a little like maybe we go back to the drawing board on this one because the intent and the practice of it don't necessarily align. So I think there's probably a better way to do it. Maybe it's through like you're talking about with the claiming system but you don't want anyone to be able to a bad actor to game something in there in a way that makes it feel, again, icky, right? Like everyone wants it to be fair. Like we all want it to be fair. So I think they do need to go back to the drawing board on that. Like I'm kind of thinking about something like maybe a clause where you take the buyout and whatever, or you don't have a buyout and you take the buyout and you could get claimed, or you don't take the buyout and you can't get claimed, right? Right. There feels like some sort of well, he's doing it for the team. He's not getting all the money and getting to go where he wants, like that kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm kind of back and forth with it because I get it. And then I'm at the same time, when it's not my team claiming the person, it bothers me.